Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Narcissistic, transformational coach here at Aquarian Age, where we help people heal, optimize, and overcome themselves so they can live an optimized, resonant life here and now. Today I want to talk a little bit about why, for an empath, narcissistic abuse is tantamount to being in the hell realm. You heard me. Why narcissistic abuse is tantamount to being in the hell realm. In other words, the journey of the empath is often misunderstood, and the experience of the empath feels like living in hell. We will explore the dynamics of narcissistic abuse, how long they have been a central tormenting force for empaths, and how this has been the catalyst for deep spiritual awakening. We'll then discuss how the shift brought on by the global shutdown and the dawn of the Aquarian Age signals a turning point. If you're seeking to make sense of your suffering and to understand your spiritual path or transform your pain into purpose, then you are in the right place. So, what exactly do we mean by the empath's hell realm? Or why narcissistic abuse for an empath is like being in the hell realm, or is the hell realm, to be more specific. For many empaths, the world has often felt like a hostile environment, a hell realm of sorts. And this term, borrowed from various spiritual traditions and even Jungian psychology, speaks to a state of profound suffering, often characterized by feeling misunderstood, overwhelmed by the pain of others, and constantly entangled in toxic, even narcissistic relationships. If you identify as an empath, you may recognize the heaviness of this state, a place where love is given freely, but seldom reciprocated in healthy ways. Now, empaths are wired to deeply sense and absorb the emotions and energies of those around them. And the problem arises when they find themselves surrounded by narcissists, when an empath finds himself by narcissists. These are people who manipulate, control, and exploit others for their own gain. Narcissistic abuse can leave the empath feeling like they are constantly drowning, trapped in cycles of shame, guilt, self-doubt, and extreme emotional highs and lows. According to a 2020 study written by Rodriguez and others, over 70% of individuals who identify as highly empathetic have experienced emotional abuse in intimate relationships. Over 70% of those sampled. And this abuse often manifests as manipulation, gaslighting, emotional invalidation, all hallmarks of relationships with a narcissist. Spiritual author Caroline Myss, in her work, The Anatomy of the Spirit, explains that empaths often come into this life carrying ancestral wounds and traumas. This is Caroline Myss, which draw them to dynamics that replay themes of emotional and psychological pain. And this perpetuates a cycle that feels inescapable. Hence, a generational cycle, generational curse, hell realm. So how is this abuse a catalyst for awakening? Why does an empath have to go through the hell realm? Well, the presence of narcissistic abuse is not coincidental for empaths. It's the fire that forges the spiritual awakening. And this relationship between empaths and narcissists is not merely a psychological dynamic, but a soul contract, one that enforces the empath into the deepest and darkest recesses of their psyche. A journey akin to what Joseph Campbell calls the dark night of the soul. Now, this dark night of the soul, which was originally coined by St. John of the Cross in the 16th century, a Christian mystic, refers to a period of profound spiritual crisis and existential questioning. Why? And for empaths, The abusive relationship with narcissists often triggers this dark night of the soul, which leads to feelings of deep despair, emptiness, and eventually an unraveling of the old self, or what seems to be the self. It's really the old self. While it's one of the most painful experiences, and I've been through it, and if you're watching this, you're either going through it, will go through it, or have been through it, it's also, this dark night of the soul is a precursor to great spiritual awakening and transformation. Think of it as a necessary destruction before birth, or chaos before order, right? So if you're losing things, losing money, losing friends, losing people, this is why this is happening. And you can find out more about this in Joseph Campbell's work titled The Hero with 1,000 Faces, where he describes a little bit of the belly of the whale, the sort of the journey of the whale being stuck in the belly and going through this transformation. It's a biblical reference in some ways. And also, Dr. Judith Orloff, a psychiatrist and writer of the book, The Empath Survival Guide, elaborates that empaths often have a predisposition for merging with the abuser's energy, believing that their love will fix the narcissist. And this endless, fruitless attempt to heal someone who cannot be healed pushes the empath to either dissolve into the abuse or rise through it. Thus begins the awakening. And many don't survive. Many don't make it to the awakening. And if you have, you are a true spiritual gangster. So let me talk more about some other conditions that have pushed us empaths to this activated awakening, extreme narcissistic abuse, and what it means. The last few years have been nothing short of transformative on a global level. The world shut down due to the pandemic, and many of the usual distractions, routines, and societal structures that kept us asleep were stripped away. And for empaths, this was the catalyst needed to finally confront and process traumas of narcissistic abuse and the hell realm. Now, astrologically, I'm not an astrologer, but certainly we pay attention to the moon cycle, so it's very important. We've shifted from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, the age of knowing, a movement from a time of illusion, deception, and authority-led spirituality to an age of awakening truth and inner self-realization. Diddy, case in point. He's an exemplar of the fall of this narcissistic spirit. The Aquarian Age is about individual sovereignty, collective consciousness, and most importantly, breaking free from the hierarchical structures of control, structures that narcissistic energies thrive on. You see the game? Now, according to ancient Vedic texts, whether it's Advaita, Vedanta, or something similar, we are now entering this great period of spiritual evolution. The awakening brought on by this Aquarius age urges humanity to live in higher vibration, emphasizing compassion, equality, and deeper understanding. Values that align deeply with the empath's core nature. For empaths, this shift offers an opportunity to reclaim true power and purpose. The forced isolation of the shutdown made it impossible to run away from pain. That's why there were so many divorces and all kinds of things during the pandemic. And it leaves empaths with no choice but to confront their own shadows and heal. And many family chaos, family traumas came to the surface. Why? Because there was nowhere to run and hide. You see? Now, this hell realm, how does the empath get out of it? What are some tools to alchemize this place of purgatory? Well, the end of the hell realm experience begins when the empath learns to set boundaries, an act that for many feels antithetical to the very nature of an empath. Connection, not control. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to others, they're about saying yes to your own self-worth and spiritual sovereignty. As empaths awaken to their own inherent value, they naturally repel narcissistic energies and attract healthier reciprocal relationships. In fact, in The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown, she suggests that setting boundaries is an act of self-love and courage, which allows us to show up authentically without fear of exploitation. This conscious shift from giving love unconditionally to learning how to receive love healthily as part of the empath's ascension process. And as the empath moves from codependency to self-empowerment, empaths begin to access their gifts as healers, light workers, and change agents, roles that are destined for the Aquarian Age. And this is why you were targeted by the narcissists, because they wanted to make you like them, but you didn't become like them. That's the magic of the power of the love in your heart. So how does the empath alchemize pain into purpose? Excuse me. The spiritual alchemy of the empath involves turning lead into gold. That's alchemy. And more specifically, it's about transforming the pain of narcissistic abuse into the gold of spiritual wisdom and self-awareness. It's also sort of a test and initiation to see if you can be trusted to inhabit the gifts. Gifts that for an ordinary person would increase ego, but for the empath must bring humility. This is why the empath has to endure the hell realm for decades for many. In the beautifully crafted work, The Power of Now by famed spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle, he speaks about transcending the pain body. This pain body is a cumulative residue of past emotional pain for empaths, and often feels like carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. But as an empath transmutes this pain, this curse becomes a gift. So what are some practical steps for an empath to rise above the hell realm? So often we think hell figuratively is this place of Hades and eternal flames, and actually what the hell realm is eternal emotional and mental and psychological suffering and not being able to escape from that. For an empath, the first step is awareness of patterns. Recognizing the cycles of abuse that were designed to trap you and even make you an abuser, and understand how you may be repeating ancestral wounds, because what's happened to you happened to your parents and those before and those before and those before. This is the National Institute of Health, not my opinion. The second is to begin practicing radical self-compassion, learning to be kind and loving and gentle with yourself. And in fact, famed meditation teacher Sharon Salzberg talks about love and kindness. Begin this practice of loving kindness, or metta, as it's called in the Buddhist practice. Then one might also set energetic boundaries. Learn to protect your energy by setting healthy boundaries and visualizing and tapping into what repels negativity from you. Also, mindful practices like meditation, yoga, grounding, cultivating presence all help. And eventually, you will attract like-minded souls who will be part of your soul tribe or your community. So, empaths, you are being called to rise. The shift from the hell realm to the Aquarian Age is the awakening you've been waiting for. You woke up from Kali Yuga. And even if it feels terrifying, it's time for you to step into your role as a healer, a light worker, a conscious agent of change, and it can mean many things. You might be a coach, you might be a therapist, you might be a meditation teacher, you may be a doctor, you may be a somatic healer, a sound bath, whatever that expression is, that you're bringing change and collective healing to yourself and those assigned to you. I want to thank you for joining me today. If you're looking to explore your empath journey further and heal from the wounds of narcissistic abuse and align to your great self, type transform or send me a message at nana@innermyage.com. Like, share, subscribe, and remember, there's absolutely no one like you.